Jon, I am so excited to have you here. Today is a very special episode. For people who don't know you, somehow magically, Jon is the owner and director of sales at American Security Mortgage. In 2025, the company funded 1.3 billion, which was 82% purchase with only 65 LOs. The company is 26 years old. Jon, you bought into it 3 years ago, and you have 27 years of experience. And I will just really quickly add one more caveat. At an inflection point in my career, I reached out to you. I asked for advice, and I did that with a lot of people. You were one of the only two people who didn't try to recruit me and just gave me good, honest advice. And your advice, I took it to heart. I tried it. It worked. So I have a deep appreciation for you. Thanks for being here.
Hey man, I appreciate it. I believe like you do good by other people, it all comes back around. So get on the karma bus.
Exactly. I find that you give without any expectation, and you're one of the most successful people in the industry. I wonder if there's a connection there.
Probably. Like I think the more you give people, the more they give back. And it's when you do that in this environment these days, it shines through even more, especially with social media and just how people are in general.
It's true. I want to jump into it because I'm personally really curious. What is life like as an owner of a mortgage company?
You know, it's funny. You kind of go full circle when you're an owner of a smaller mid-size IMB. It's almost like being a branch manager. You know, I've had bigger, well, I don't know about bigger roles, but more responsibility in certain lanes. When you jump to being an owner, you got to do a bunch of little things all the time. You know, it could be you're switching gears from. Before I was on the phone before I was doing this, I was looking up a manufactured home guideline for one of our new LOs. It's that yesterday afternoon I wrapped up with a payroll problem. I started the day yesterday with helping onboard a new loan officer. So it's you do a little bit of everything.
That's interesting to hear. It's like a lot of people think that if they progress in their career, like becoming a branch manager or divisional, they don't have to do guidelines. And you're here to tell us that's the first thing you did this morning, looking up guidelines. Yeah.
No, it doesn't work that way at the ownership level. I think if you're at a bigger IMB or mid-size IMB and you've moved up to an area divisional or regional role, those are mainly recruiting roles today. Like you're expected to grow and you stay in that lane. Specifically, when you jump to the ownership level, you got to do it all. You know, you're looking at pricing, you're trying to get new products in, you're trying to help recruit, you're supporting the LOs, especially with a company the way we're set up, where you've got ownership at the top, no layers, and then just the LOs. So we're super hands-on here.
Yeah, I want to add a note on that structure that I think in the future, that's the way mortgage companies, pretty much all of them, are going to have to operate, because that extra margin just makes loans uncompetitive in the market. Like consumers are becoming rate sensitive. So any extra layer that doesn't directly add value and that is expensive has to get cut. So it's good to hear that you guys are literally owners and originators. Nothing in between.
Yeah, that's, Phil Mahoney started the company 26 years ago. And as he got older, he sold part of it to a friend of mine. A friend reached out to me. That was Corey Bauer. I jumped in, and that was the reason I left Guaranteed Rate to come here. And I love the Guaranteed Rate. It was my dream job. But I was looking ahead. I think if you're like a real leader, it's kind of like playing musical chairs. Like in kindergarten, you got to guess where the music's going to stop, and you got to be in that chair if you want to win. So you're always looking out 2, 3, 4 years, like where's the business going? And I saw this is where the business is going. I'm not saying you're never going to have managers or support, because at these bigger companies, you have to have that just to support people. But you're right, the layers of it are going to go away or get condensed. And what you're responsible to do is just going to, especially with AI, you can do, people are doing more than they realize they're doing with it now. I solved the complex commission problem yesterday with AI that would have taken me, I would have had to go to somebody with like real Excel experience to knock it out. AI did it in 5 minutes. So if the NC State guy's figuring that out, there's other people out there figuring it out, right? So, you're just going to be able to do more and more and more.
If you want to get to 10 loans a month, working 25 to 35 hours a week, making anywhere between $500,000 to $1 million a year, I put the complete playbook together for you on my school community. You can find a link to join in the description. Thank you.
That's true. I want to ask you about your career trajectory. A lot of loan officers wonder what the career path looks like, and it just feels like it's loan officer to maybe branch managers. When you started out, did you have an idea you would own a mortgage company? Was that always your intention, or what was the process like for you?
I didn't know I was going to own one when I first started. When I first started, I just wanted to make money, and that's just the truth. I got into mortgage to make money. My mom was a realtor. Her loan officer, Amy Johnson, showed up one day in her driveway. She had this super cool Mercedes. I'm like, what does she do? She's like, she's a loan officer. And my mom's like, you want to be a loan officer? That's a hard job. I'm wearing her out. I'm like, she's got this cool Mercedes. I hate my job. And so that's how I got into it. And that's the honest to God's truth, Sam. So I got into it straight up for the money. As I moved on, I just got bored. I mean, I went, my first 2 years, I was fighting for my life. I probably quit the mortgage business 3 times in my head before I actually made it. And then the third year I started making it. And then I was top producer, President's Club, all that jazz for years and years. And then I was like, well, let me see if I can help other people. So I jumped into they called it a sales leader role at the time. That was way back with GMAC. God rest GMAC, so we didn't make it through the financial crisis. So started with sales leader, and then it became a sales manager, and then they called it associate district manager, and then I went on to Wells Fargo. Had to start over there. So no, I didn't know I was going to get into ownership until probably I'd say 10 years into my career. And then at that point, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to say I thought I was smarter than other people. I thought I was just working harder than most. And I had ideas that I wanted to execute on. And then the other part of it was just being honest again. I don't like people telling me what to do, and if you're in those mid-level, upper-level management roles, you have to solve for your LOs, and then you have to solve for what the company wants. And oftentimes what the company wants doesn't fully align with what the LOs want or need, because the company, for whatever reason, has to go in a certain direction, and the LOs are just trying to do deals. So it's not I'm not calling out the company for one way or the other. They have to solve. I can tell you this from the ownership side. The company has to be looking further down the road, just like I was telling you about the musical chairs. They're solving for something different. And you're talking huge companies like Wells Fargo, Guaranteed Rate. They've got, they're solving for stuff that other people aren't even thinking about now, because they've got mounds and mounds of data and insight of the consumer behavior and what the markets are doing.
Yeah, one quick note on that. These massive companies and the ownership suite, they're trying to get out of the day-to-day origination so they can focus on the problems for 5 to 10 years down the line. So the example of that is we're all talking about how a lot of lenders are bringing servicing in-house. I remember 5 years ago, CEOs were starting to talk about it, how servicing is going to be important. And now we're starting to feel it. So when you say there's stuff that people are talking about that us originators just don't think about, it's so true. You guys are planning for the future of the firm, all the paychecks being protected, all the families being protected. So it's very different skill set.
For sure. You got to be thinking 2 steps ahead.
I have a very selfish question I want to answer to. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
You've held every position in the mortgage industry. What's been the most financially rewarding, and what's been the most personally fulfilling?
A producing branch manager is where you're going to make the most money, because you're originating. Origination sales is where all the money is at, and where all the money will be at, simply because getting the loan in the door is the hardest part of the business. Second hardest part of the business is recruiting. So if you're a good producing branch manager and you can produce and you can recruit, you're going to make all the money in the world that you want to make. As you move up into ownership, or forget ownership, as you move up into area, regional, divisional, if you want to go that route, your income depends on so many other people. It's really hard to control. You know, you're truth be told, you're really riding the market more than you're doing anything. And there's a lot of pressure on those jobs because those people that are paying you money are expecting a result from it, you know, and I promise you, you're showing up on a spreadsheet somewhere every day and they're trying to figure out, all right, is John worth this? I'm paying him this. Is he worth it? Because he's really not bringing in loans. And Sam, the mortgage business and the fundamentals is really, really basic. You're either bringing in loans, closing loans, or recruiting people who can bring in loans. That is all there is to it.
That's really good to hear. And I really like that you said producing branch manager is the best place to be. I've talked to a lot of loan officers, some that are doing a couple $100 million a year and some that are doing 50 million. And I asked them about their quality of life. Who do you think, after you've worked with so many LOs as yourself, who has the highest quality of life?
I think it's a loan officer. It's got a good team around them, has the best quality of life. Somebody who's been doing it long enough that they know what they're good at and what they're bad at. And they've had the courage to hire somebody to step into the stuff that they're not good at. And that's hard for a LO to do. I can tell you, I made that mistake if I could look back and tell you all the mistakes I made, there was a lot of them. But when I was producing, which sounds like vinegar when I hate when people say when I was producing, but I would have, if I could turn the clock back, I would have hired more people around me and not let go of originations at all. I would just, because the stuff I got burned out on, I wasn't good at, but I still got pulled into. So I should have just hired somebody, but I was scared to let go of the money. You know, and now that I'm older, I just see like, oh my God, it really wasn't about the money. It's about the time, right? I can get more money. I can't get more time. If I had more time back, I could have made more money. So that would be, those are the people. We have people here that work 25, 30 hours a week to close $50 million. That's plastic surgeon money, with a lot less stress.
A lot less stress and a lot more flexibility too. Plastic surgeons are still working crazy hours.
Yes. Yeah. And a lot to take home, right?
Yeah.
We tell people all the time, like when they would get stressed out, man, nobody's dying. We'll figure this out. Not that is it a stressful situation? Sure. Somebody's moving, somebody's buying a house. Buying a house isn't fun. It can be stress. There's a lot of emotions going on, but nobody's going to die. We will figure it out.
That's true. That's true.
If you want to get to 10 loans a month, working 25 to 35 hours a week, making anywhere between $500,000 to $1 million a year, I put the complete playbook together for you on my school community. You can find a link to join in the description. Thank you.
I want to know, what are you seeing loan officers doing now to have success, especially at your company, like your specific loan officers?
Yeah, I would say, so a lot of it's going to be cliche, but it's cliche because it works, and it's cliche because it works, nobody wants to do it. But they market, they do sales activities daily, and then they do it consistently. So, and how do they execute on it? Well, they put on events. I was just telling somebody, like one of our bigger teams, they had what does an event look like? They rented a lemonade truck. They took it to a real estate office. They showed up and said, man, we're going to take your lemon of a deal and turn it into lemonade. And we brought this lemonade truck with us. That is an event. That's how you get in front of people. That basic, that simple. And they got to coordinate all of it. So a lot of events. One of our bigger teams has a dog jog going on. They've rented out a park. They'll have a band. You're going to bring your dog. They'll have a tracker. They'll put up on the screen like where you finish. So they brought the community in, with their referral partners. So that works, right? You got to be able to break through the noise to get to the referral partner talk. And the other one is, you just get on this thing right here and call somebody, or shoot them a video, or what. You got to connect. Because if you're not marketing yourself, nobody else is marketing it for you. I see a ton of, I was talking to Ella this morning. He was telling me, well, I'm doing all this stuff on social media, but I also see the numbers of what some of these other people do, and I never see them on social media. What I would tell you, like social media is, and social media is important, but here's a great analogy for it. It's like baking a cake, right? If you don't put the social media is the vanilla extract that goes in the cake. Is it going to make, are you still going to have a cake? Yes. Is it going to make it taste better? Yes. But it's only one ingredient of like several that makes success. And I see a lot of people, and I mentioned that, Sam, because I see a lot of people run down the road of, and I've done it. I'm going to do all the social media, then the leads are just going to come in. It doesn't work that way. It just does not. It's going to open up a couple doors. It's going to make your name more recognizable, but it's not going to make the phone ring.
Yeah. I have so many things I want to say about what you just shared because it was so gold. The too many loan officers I see like going on social media thinking this is going to be their lead generation. I will say like social media is probably the hardest way to generate business because the skill you need to generate business out of it is so high. And there are a few people who get lucky, and not even lucky. Maybe they have the skill, but they do it. But what is not clear, what they don't say, is that they're spending 5-6 hours a day on social media trying to do it on top of doing everything else that like requires like fulfilling the loan, talking to the client, all of it. So it's a super hard skill. I think like social media, like you said, it's like a bit of fuel. If you're already really good at everything else, it's that like fuel that can really make it more effective, but it's not the engine. So like for you, like you said, it's the vanilla extract, it's not the cake.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to like the marketing and sales that you talked about, doing it every day and doing it consistently. How do you differentiate the two? What is marketing to you and what is sales to you?
Well, sales is closing the deal. You have to market yourself so somebody knows what your brand is, what you're about. Why is somebody going to do business with John? Why is somebody going to do business with Sam? That's marketing. When the phone rings and they're like, Sam, what's your rate? That's when the sales starts. And I will tell you this, I think like if there was one thing that LOs need to work on now more than anything, it's the sales skills. I mean, pick up a Zig Ziglar book, a Jim Rohn book, and start working on the sales aspect because they've become transactional because of the social media thing and because of the way the relationship has become digitized. And the relationship is absolutely digitized. That consumers are different today than when they were when I was originating. We have that argument in here all the time. I promise you they are different. It's harder and harder to connect with them. So you have to use different mediums to do it, and you have to have different tactics to do it. And so I would tell you, if you've got really, really good basic sales skills, like a basic sales skill of can you identify what their core objection is and overcome it, you're going to have you're not going to have as many leads. And the truth of it is, like, rate shopping. Everybody rate shops now. You are going to get rate shopped. Your conversion factor today is lower than it was 5 years ago, and none of that's going away. That'll be the case from here on because it's so easy to get the information. But what won't change is human behavior, and that ties into the sales part of it. How can you relate to Sam? How can Sam and John connect? How can I help provide some type of value to, if my closing costs are $200-300 higher, that Sam's like, you know what, John's worth the $200 or $300.
Mm-hmm. That's for people listening. The key thing that John said for like sales skill, like if you could summarize it in one word, is find the objection they have and how can you solve for it. And like that is what you're doing on the phone call, and like you're getting at it at all the different angles, but that's what you're getting. Like, what do they want? What's their objection to you? How can you solve it? And you got the sale. And I heard this at some point early in my career, and it had a big impact on me. And it was like, is it better to generate like 20 extra leads a month or improve your conversion by 10%? And they did the math, and it's like, if you improve your conversion by 10%, you're doing like now you're doing less work for more money. And funny enough, you get more at bats with referrals because like we all know past clients are one of the best referral sources and they repeat clients. was getting better at conversions, aka having the sales skill, is so fruitful.
For sure. No, that's where the magic's at, is being able to convert on less, because generating the leads takes a lot more work than taking the time to have some basic, sales knowledge skills.
Exactly. It takes like 4 hours a day to generate like 2 leads a day. But like once you learn the sales skill, you're not adding extra time to your sales. You're just doing it better. And you're going to have to spend that time anyway. John, how are you? So if it's marketing and sales that's like driving the results for your loan officers currently, what are you doing to empower your loan officers to have the results they're having? Because with 65 LOs doing 1.3 billion is exceptional.
Yeah, so one, it has to be the right fit at ASMC. You have to be the right fit. And what does that LO look like? One, they're entrepreneurial. They know they kind of want to run their own thing. They're not afraid to build their own brand. That would be the first two that come to mind. The real success of it is we show our true margins to the LO. So when they go into OB, at the bottom of it, it shows what ASMC is making. If it says 200 basis points, ASMC is making 200 basis points. If the LO is getting 125 or 100, they take that off there and then they see what we're making. I've never seen another company do it. Other companies say they have transparent margins, but every time I get a pricing call on there seems to be 50 or 60 bips that are lost somewhere. We show them true margins the whole way through. The reason we do that is we know it's a partnership with the LO. The LO is my customer. I do not have a job without the loan officer. So I know that in my mind from the minute I walk into the office. I'm singularly focused on them. What can I help them do to be successful? So it starts with the transparent margins. Because they're transparent, they're consistent. We don't move them. They just stay where they're at. So for LO, what does that do for Sam? Well, if you're at a big company, they're moving margins around every day, depending on where the market's at. They have to, because they're covering a massive geography with tons and tons, 2,000-3,000 loan officers. I don't have to do that. So what does that do for Sam? It gives you confidence when you quote the rate. I hear from LOs every day, well, our pricing at 100, I really have to price at 99 in order to get the deal, right? I have to bake in the exception. Well, when you do that, they have no confidence of what the consumer is going to say. They already know they're going to get shopped. So they're like, what? Is 6.5 going to be good enough? And then they go back like this. Whereas we come out of the gate, it just kind of is what it is, right? So that creates efficiency. The second part of it is the brand. We allow them to build the brand that they want to be. I would promise you our two biggest teams, Lynn Scout and Lending by Design, I bet nobody knows they work for American Security. And I don't have to rah-rah American Security. I'm the platform. I know my role. I'll support them, pump it up however they want to pump it up. And then we give LOs the autonomy to build it the way they want to build it. If you're at a bigger IMB or a bank, you have to follow a certain process. LOAs do this. Underwriting goes this way. Processing goes that way. If it doesn't hit this, it has to get back out of line. Over here, we allow them to customize it however they want to do it. They can build the setup the way they want to build it up. So those are the little things I would say that add up to what they do. And then the last and most important part is when you're surrounded by good people, you start to learn what they're doing. Like the parts that these other LOs can't see. They can't, if they're in the office, they can hear a conversation that a $60 or $70 million producer is having with the customer. And that is invaluable. They can see, oh, this person's asking this, the LO's answering it this way. They can see how that LO, runs their day, when they come into the office, when they leave, what they're doing. They're not hanging around the water cooler, just kicking it. They're hustling. Steel sharpens steel on that side of it.
That's really good. If I can summarize it, and please tell me if I'm wrong, the reason you guys are so successful, your loan officers are really successful, is because you've identified the people that succeed with you are those entrepreneurial loan officers that you will provide them the trust and the confidence on their pricing, and then empower them to build their own business, the marketing, which is their brand, and to do it the way they want. You're there to offer advice, guidance, and there's a lot of people doing it different ways that they can learn from. But they're the ultimate decision maker in their business, and because they have that drive to do it, they thrive in that environment. Did I miss anything there?
I'd say the one, like you're describing all that, the other last part of it is they all have a seat at the table. So if they come with a good idea, we got an idea this week about the transition from the processor to the closer that somebody brought from a different company. We'll use it. Like, it's not, I don't know. I don't know what I'll take anybody's idea, right? If it works, it works. So we call it having a seat at the table. They all have a seat at the table. We'll take their input and use it. And that empowers them. It builds trust. And you don't have to be a huge producer to work here. You just got to have the right DNA. I think that's another important part. Yeah, you don't have to. Sometimes I've heard like, well, you have to be a big producer to work at ASMC just because they see the numbers. It's not true. Like three of our top 5 producers were homegrown here. They started out either a brand newbie or a LOA, and they grew into the role. You just have to have the right DNA to be here. It's got to be the right fit. It's not about the numbers. It's about the person, and being in the right environment on our side and their side.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I follow you on LinkedIn. I really like your post. I see very regularly how like loan officers after like 2 years, 3 years with you guys have like their best productions, like 300, 400% growth. And it's like you're giving the platform for the person with the right DNA to succeed.
Yes, if it's a right fit, they will flourish here.
And I want to go back to tie 2 pieces together. You said like if they have a good idea, they have a seat at the table. So if they have a good idea, it's coming to you and the change is being made. That's another perk of not having any overlays or not overlay, any like mid-level management. Like it's owners and loan officers. So the idea gets directly to you. It doesn't need to go like through like all these layers of management. Is it a good idea? It translates into different things. Maybe it doesn't get to you. Like your loan officers are talking to you every day.
Yes, we pull loan officers together quarterly just so they can vet ideas out between them we just facilitate the conversation. And then Corey and we go out into the market and we do what we call masterminds, roundtables. We'll meet with other LOs from other companies, not to recruit them, just to share what we're doing and to hear what they're doing. And it's a win-win, right? Say, hey, we see that this was working, this isn't working, and then we get intel on what's going on in the market, and then we take it back and we use it. At the same time, we're giving it to them, saying, hey, I know this works. Here are the numbers. Try it. So, yeah.
Do you guys focus on a certain geography more than others?
Yeah, but so I'm giving you all the good stuff. The downside is this: when you just have owners and LOs, I'll never be a movement mortgage or a guaranteed rate. You can't scale it, right? So we're mainly in the Southeast. We do the majority of our business in North Carolina, some in South Carolina, and then we're scattered all up and down the East Coast. But yeah, so I would say mainly, East Coast. Anything touching North Carolina on is kind of where we're at. North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Virginia, up that way. So yeah.
And that allows you guys to be more nimble and better in your market. You don't have to compete. You're not you can be better at that market than someone who is in all 50 states, and like they have one process for everyone, because we know regulations are different, markets are different, but because you guys are local, how to approach each market.
Yeah, as you spread out, it gets hard. Like we had some opportunities in California, and then when we started really diving into it, we're like, man, we can't execute on this. Like California is a huge market. I think 5th biggest economy in the world, but that's a whole different ball game out there. And we're like, there's no way we could pull it off. So
yeah, what's next for you guys? What is your vision?
I think I'll call it steady growth. Like we don't have to take over the world, but we have to keep growing because loan officers retire. things happen, the industry evolves. One of the things I don't say I'm worried about, but we've got to figure out as an industry is how the customer behaves now and how much impact it has on the LO. It creates burnout a lot quicker. So it's growing, getting the right people in here that can keep the brand going. That's one thing that Phil, who started the company, why he brought us on was he's like, I never want the company to go away. I love what we do. I love what we provide. So I got to keep it going. So I'm old, but I'm not that old. So I got plenty of time, and I don't have anything else to do, right? So we'll keep growing steadily. We'll stick to our pillars. The pillars will never change, just because that's what our foundation is built around. That's what brought success. We know that, and then we'll adapt as the market adapts.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I think there's a lot of loan officers want that steady growth, something that doesn't grow too big, that's transparent, that you can have your own thing. And you guys do all loan types, right?
Yes. We have as many products as we can possibly hold on to. I would say one of the things that's benefited us now that going back to the musical chairs and see like where's the business going to go, we jumped in on non-QM early, and which anybody can go out and get non-QM, but we started underwriting it in-house. We probably have 18 different investors in it that we underwrite all of them, but maybe 2 in-house. So that's become a huge advantage in the marketplace. Now, do we do a ton of non-QM? I would say probably 15% of our business is non-QM now. It's certainly more than jumbo, and we used to do a lot of jumbo. So it's helped, but a ton. And yes, you have to adapt, and that's adapting with the market, being a couple steps ahead. And the advantage we have is on the non-QM part is the transparent pricing and underwriting it in-house. I can get an answer really, really quick for a complex deal on a non-QM, whereas somebody else probably has to go outside the organization to get that.
That's so good. That is an underrated perk, by the way. Especially someone coming from broker channel, and I love the broker channel, but having a relationship or just like being able to ask an underwriter a question really quickly and easily is a serious perk. John, what's a question that I didn't ask you about loan officers and how they can build their business into be a fruitful business? I mean, like good balance of life, money, and everything that you would like to share.
To me, it's as simple as you have to market and do your sales activities every day before anything else happens. If you're not doing that, something else is going to fill up the time, and it has to be like breathing. But you got to do it every day. And most people will do it a couple days a week, and then something will happen and they'll skip off of it. The guys that are doing the next level volume, they don't miss it. They time block it out. It happens regardless. Like I had a loan officer at work for me years ago. He turned into a huge producer. He had a superpower, and we were working at a bank at the time, and we missed closing dates left and right. And he would still make sales calls while the phone was ringing when the closing was blowing up because the package wasn't there. Sam, that's hard to do. And he's like, I'll call him back when I get done with my cell phone. So if you can put your blinders on and do that, you're going to have all the success you want to have. If you're a next level originator, I would say closing 7 to 9 units, and you're trying to do it all by yourself, hire a sales assistant. You're going to pick up $15 million overnight. And if you want to know what you got to, if the next question is, well, what's the sales assistant going to do? Make a list of the 4 things you like to do and the 4 things you hate to do. Give them the 4 things you hate to do. It's that easy. That would be a life-changing advice for you. So I would give those 2 things for originators starting, it's up and coming, and the ones trying to reach the next level. After you get there, then it's a deeper conversation. It's more of you'd have to sit down with a LO and really go through their process if they're closing 12 plus units a month. That's more of they're starting to get into like the business lane then.
Yeah, that is really good advice. If you're a loan officer now, you know what to do. like if you have to do sales activities, or if you have to hire a team, or you need to have personalized consultation because now you're in the business owner territory. How can loan officers reach out to you? Can they reach out to you?
Absolutely. Call me. You can call me. My number is 919-924-1942. The same number I've had forever. You can follow me on LinkedIn. I'm always on LinkedIn. I try to post on LinkedIn daily. Or you can, I would say those are the best two ways to catch me. Either DM me on LinkedIn or give me a buzz.
I will put a shameless plug. Your LinkedIn is excellent. That's how you and I got connected. So if you guys are on LinkedIn, follow Jon for sure. It's a good one. Jon, thank you so much.
Hey, man, I appreciate you saying best of luck.